Good morning, everyone, and happy Tuesday. I know it's gross and rainy outside, but I have announcement number 2 today. And announcement number 1 was the talk that I'm doing next week, and announcement number 3 is coming next week, which is huge and amazing, and I can't wait to tell you about it. But I have a couple things to get ready first. So today is about seasonal acupressure tune-ups. If you haven't read the title of the video, even though in Canada we don't really get 4 full seasons, we kind of get winter for 6 months and then the other 3 seasons kind of crammed together. And right now it seems like we're getting an extended spring, and then summer will be maybe a month, and then fall gets the last bit. But I wanted to talk a little bit about it because we know that our bodies go through changes during the year, and maybe we have more energy one season than the other, or we feel stiff in the winter, or our body has different needs depending on the season. So I wanted to talk about why that's important, and in terms of traditional Chinese medicine, I know this is going to be backwards for you guys, but there are 5 elements in traditional Chinese medicine: fire, earth, metal, water, and wood. And they all have a very intimate relationship, but during the seasonal changes, because of the intimate relationship, one gets stronger and one gets weaker. So there's 2 cycles. This one is the creation cycle. So I know this is backwards for you, but fire creates earth, earth creates metal, metal creates water, water creates wood. That's the basis of it. The second cycle is the control cycle. So fire controls metal, metal controls wood, wood controls earth, earth controls water, and water controls fire. Basically, so you can tell because when you put them both together, try not to get overwhelmed for a second, it looks like this. So because each individual meridian system has its own 5 elements for that system, it's easy to use acupressure points to rebalance the meridians. But if a single element is out of balance, it can greatly affect the other ones, especially, well, I would say especially all of them, but because it's created by one and creates another one, in that case, if it's too weak, then it's not creating enough of the previous element, and the element that is supposed to create it is not functioning properly either. So that's the basis of how it works. But there's also this super lovely chart, one for each of the elements. You can see that each one has a season. And I know this is backwards for you guys, but I'm going to try to keep it easy to read. So each one has a season, and as we progress through them, one gets stronger and one gets weaker. So, for example, in the spring, most of us haven't been exercising as much in the winter, and most of our animals haven't been exercising as much in the winter. So what you tend to focus on for the spring is liver gallbladder, because that's the system that governs the tendons, muscles, ligaments, and you also have to increase your circulation because stagnation is not a good way to start off the spring. Most of us are really stiff and we're kind of getting back into the fresh exercise season. Not all of us exercise all year long, so that's just how it works. But in animals, the common physiological and physical changes are an increase or decrease in weight. So in the winter, they tend to put on more weight to stay warmer, but they're also exercising less, and their coats sometimes get thicker. In the summer, they tend to lose weight because they're more active and they need less warmth. So they shed their coat, which Kai is going through right now, even though the weather is super inconsistent. But for example, that is spring. In the summer, they have new energy demands because they're going out more. They can overheat very easily, and shoulder injuries are really common, and I've actually seen this in a lot of horses as well. As soon as they get let out to graze in the grass pasture, they overdo it and end up pulling a muscle or hurting themselves and end up going into deep cold laser. In the late summer, most animals in the wild, and again, these are traditional Chinese medicine uses nature. So all of their examples are nature related, and they talk about wild animals as compared to domestic animals. So in the late summer, most animals you see start storing food. And again, in traditional Chinese medicine, there are actually 5 seasons: spring, summer, late summer, fall, and winter. So late summer is kind of when the heat starts to go down a bit, but it's still warm. But the leaves are maybe starting to go a little bit, but they're not quite there yet. This is when you need to increase nutrient absorption and storage, because they're trying to prepare for the colder season, so they start storing more and more food. But it also overworks the stomach sometimes because they're storing or digesting so much food to put on the extra weight for the colder seasons that their stomach spleen system gets out of balance or stops absorbing the nutrients from the food because it's working so hard on actually physically processing it. So stomach and spleen are really important. In the autumn, this is when all the kids go back to school, and most parents know this. Everybody gets sick in autumn because when everybody gets together, all of the germs and bacteria can very easily override someone's immune system if they don't have a really strong immune system. So if they get sick really easily, this is a good time. If your animal tends to sneeze a lot or not feel as well in the fall, this is a good time to do a lung, large intestine, because this is the immune system, this is the respiratory system. If you strengthen this system, your animal will have a better chance of not getting sick. And I use it on myself, especially in this season when I'm going to be around large crowds of people, especially in those seasons, because I don't want to get sick. So if I ever go to a big event, I use the points on myself, but I also do them on Kaya because I don't want her to get sick either. In the winter, most of us know from stagnation and things like that our body gets stiff, because most of us can't, go for a swim or go hiking all the time unless you have an indoor pool facility in your town. But there's less movement going on, and a lot of times the chi in your body or the energy becomes stagnated because it's not flowing properly. So you need to work on those, but also your energy level in general. Most people experience it as seasonal affective disorder, and when it's cold and dark, most of our moods go down. And most of us know that when our mood is down, our body feels worse, we feel worse, you kind of get in that melancholy stage, and we know how important our mindset is for our physical health as well. So keeping up, even if it's gentle exercises, something indoors, but in this case, the kidney bladder is really important, because the kidney is important for water transformation and things like that, but it also governs bones. It's important for chi flow. Really important to keep those up, because a lot of people also get sick in the winter, but in terms of stiffness and everything, nobody kind of moves around. Everybody's usually indoors, unless you play winter sports, then good on you. But the pets tend to not, because especially last winter, we had a big ice storm, and there was about 9 days where it wasn't even safe to go outside for a walk because everything was coated in ice. So finding other ways to entertain your pets inside is really important. Making sure they're drinking enough water, because when they exercise less, a lot of animals drink less water, and that means less filtering of the toxins out of their system and things like that. But there's lots of amazing ways to keep balance during the season transitions, and I know that the summer solstice is coming up soon. I always mix up the equinox and the solstice, but for those that don't know, there are 2 solstices and 2 equinoxes roughly every 3 months. So March, June, September, and December. And there's a lot of, energetic shifts in the planet. But if you don't believe in that, know that your body changes during the year. And I know that my body craves more kind of cozy activities in the winter when it's cold, like reading or puzzles. And then in the summer, it's more hikes and, swimming and food festivals and things outside. So keeping that in mind, that your animals also experience those cycles, and there may be periods where they want to rest more and more that they want to be active. So just to keep that in mind. Announcement number 2 is that I'm offering acupressure seasonal tune-ups. And I know this is specific times of year, but I figured I'd announce it before the summer transition, because if this is really summer, transitioning from spring to summer is really important, especially if you've been inactive over the winter. Morning, Monica. No worries. It'll all be on the replay, I'm sure. And this is the last one for the month, so they're actually, after this one, I upload them all to YouTube. So you can watch it there as well. In case anybody didn't know, I do have a YouTube channel with a bank of all of my live videos from here, in case you're ever wondering. But the summer transition is coming up, and a lot of animals, hopefully when we start to get more heat, the transition will be more obvious. But for a lot of us, this means more exercise and more time outside. But if it's anything like last summer, where we had weeks of 40-degree heat, and it's really hard to get the animals out, having somewhere in the shade that they can... You didn't know? Okay. I announced it like a while ago when I first started uploading it, but I don't think I've mentioned it since then. So probably a good reminder for me. Having something like a little kiddie pool or something for them to cool down, having their own shaded area like a doghouse or a cooling mat, to make sure that they stay cool during the year. Horses too, they get really hot, so having a water source somewhere on the property is a good idea to make sure that they stay nice and cool. But I will be doing another reminder about this as we get closer to the summer solstice, but the transitions are really important, so I'll probably do a little reminder before each one. But even if you want to try it and see how it goes, my bully breed does not like heat. Takes a lot, yes. They tend to overheat not only because they don't have 2 coats to insulate themselves. This is a common misconception. Dogs with 2 coats are not extra hot. Yes, they may get warm quickly, but if you shave their hair off, the second layer actually insulates and keeps them cooler. And if you shave it, they can't regulate their body temperature. So if you have a double-coated dog like an Australian Shepherd or a Husky, do not shave their coat. Please do not shave their coat, because they will not do well the next time it gets hot. And when it gets cold, they can't keep themselves warm either. But yes, make sure that maybe try a cooling vest or something if that works. My dog doesn't like water on her back, but a lot of dogs find that cooling. Usually the pads of their feet, if you can keep them damp, that helps as well because they sweat through their pads. Fun fact, dogs actually don't sweat through their body, they only sweat through the pads of their feet. And obviously when they pant and they exhale, they drip water. But just something to keep in mind, acupressure tune-ups are amazing. I do them on myself seasonally, and I haven't gotten sick in the last 6 months. So that's great. Have a fabulous rest of your Tuesday, and stay tuned for the super big announcement next week. I also did some updates on my website if you want to go see. You may not notice the difference, but I've been doing a lot of work on it on the side, so do go check that out. Hope to stay dry, and I will see you next week. Bye, Monica. Oops, that didn't work.